JBN, we keep you informed. Fatal Christmas morning stabbing in downtown Kingston. The police are probing the stabbing death of a man on Orange Street in downtown Kingston early on Christmas Day. The deceased man has been identified as 53-year-old Leaford Smith of West Avenue, Kingston. Reports are that sometime after 5 a.m. Smith was standing near a stall when a man armed with a knife stabbed him several times. The attacker then fled the scene. Smith was assisted to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Man charged with attempted murder involving a fish gun. Detectives assigned to the St. Andrews South Police Division have charged a man with attempted murder and wounding with intent, which was reportedly committed on Saturday, December 21. He is 20-year-old David Williams of Lloydville, Yallas, St. Thomas. Reports from the Halfway Tree Police are that about 12:30 p.m., the now accused man reportedly conspired with two other men and used the fish gun to shoot the complainant in his upper body and subsequently pushed him into a swamp. The victim was later assisted to the hospital where he was admitted for treatment. Williams' court date is to be announced soon. Jamaican among several nabbed during immigration sweep in the U.S. The United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE, says it has detained a Jamaican among 17 people during a 5-day enforcement operation. ICE said the 20-year-old has multiple convictions for possession with intent to distribute controlled substances and carrying a gun without a license. The Immigration Enforcement Agency said 5 of those apprehended were previously released by the City of Philadelphia due to the sanctuary city policies, and that their crimes range from multiple DUIs to possession and intent to distribute heroin, as well as violating U.S. immigration law. During this operation, our offices were able to locate and apprehend more than a dozen individuals who have committed crimes in our country while seeking sanctuary in our cities, said ICE Philadelphia Field Office Director Simona Flores-Lund. 1/3 of those individuals could have been off our streets earlier. However, the city of Philadelphia believes that allowing criminals and drug dealers to roam freely in their communities outweighs cooperating with federal law enforcement, she added. ICE said it focuses its enforcement resources on individuals who pose a threat to national security, public safety, and border security. Taximan and a 16-year-old charged with housebreaking and larceny. 2 people are to face the court to answer to the charge of housebreaking and larceny committed in 2 separate incidents in the Kingston West and St. Elizabeth divisions. Charged are a 16-year-old boy and 54-year-old Conroy Lawrence, a taxi operator of 5 Spence St. Elizabeth. In the first incident, the teenager was charged after he was implicated in the Monday, March 11 break-in at a business place at the intersection of Spanish Town Road and West Street in Kingston. Police reports are that the complainant locked his business place and left. On his return, he found the locks to the establishment removed, the door open, and grocery items and appliances removed from the store. The teenager was arrested on Wednesday, December 11, and charged on Saturday, December 21, following a question and answer session. Meanwhile, Lawrence was charged after items suspected to be stolen from the complainant's home on Levy Avenue in St. Elizabeth on Monday, December 16, were found in his possession. It is alleged that Lawrence entered the house by breaking a window. He then removed a washing machine, clothes dryer, and a lawnmower, the police said. Court dates for the 2 will be announced soon. 4 men held with a gun and ammo at police checkpoint. 4 men were taken into custody following the seizure of a gun and several rounds of ammunition at a vehicular checkpoint along Port Royal Street in downtown Kingston on Sunday, December 22. Police reports are that about 11:05 p.m., lawmen were conducting routine checks in the area when they signaled the driver of a Mazda motor car to stop. The vehicle and its occupants were searched, and one Smith & Wesson .38 revolver, located with 5 rounds of ammunition, was found in a wide sock on the floor of the vehicle. The police said all 4 men were subsequently arrested. However, their identities are being withheld pending further investigations. Female cop hailed by police high command. The police high command has commended a woman constable for the effort she made to apprehend a suspect after a report from a complainant. The constable, who is from the Delta Operations Department within the Jamaica Constabulary Force (JCF), has been hailed for starting and completing an investigation into a reported case of larceny by finding that was committed at a fast food restaurant some months ago, instead of passing on the case to an investigative arm of the force. Reports saw that a man accidentally left his cell phone at a juicy party outlet, and upon his return the instrument was missing. The matter was reported to woman Constable Hunter, who was on duty at the Delta Operations Office. Reports are that instead of sending the complainant to another area of the force, the female cop took on the matter directly. As part of her subsequent investigation, the policewoman viewed the video footage, checked on the ownership of a vehicle from a license plate that was detected, and followed up on the information that were obtained from the checks. The policewoman then made contact with the Halfway Tree Police, and the suspect, Jordan Brown, was subsequently apprehended and the iPhone in question was recovered. Brown was subsequently charged by the police. The police high command in a release said the performance of the constable was most outstanding and worthy of commendation. This is a perfect example of a member going above and beyond the call of duty, said a senior member of the JCF. Holness calls for faith and love in Christmas message. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has called for a renewal of personal faith and love in his Christmas message. He used the story of the birth of Christ to support his call. The story of Jesus' birth does not seek to offer us a scientific explanation of the solutions to our problems. Rather, it is a story of faith, that God manifested in man, and that man can know God and have a personal relationship with God. It is the story of family, of Joseph and Mary, regardless of their own struggles and poverty, sticking together and caring for one another, Holness said. Mr. Holness's Christmas message.
Merry Christmas to all at home and abroad. As Christians, we believe in the Immaculate Conception and birth, the life examples and teachings, and the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ to be the fundamental pillars of our faith. Christmas is the time reserved in our calendar to celebrate the birth of Christ, which happened during a time of great suffering and hardship some 2,000 years ago. It was long prophesied that a great king would be born to liberate the people from bondage. However, Jesus and his message of personal liberation of the soul by loving God with all your heart and loving your neighbor as you love yourself was not the king or message that many expected. And indeed, many conspired against it. Today, the world still looks for the hope of liberation from the struggles we face, and the message of Jesus' birth remains the same. We must love God and believe in him, and we must love one another as we love ourselves. Simple, yet profound guidance that the solution to our problems rests with our spirituality and humanity. The story of Jesus' birth does not seek to offer a scientific explanation of the solutions to our problems. Rather, it is a story of faith that God manifested in man, and that man can know God and have a personal relationship with God. It is a story of family, of Joseph and Mary, regardless of their own struggles and poverty, sticking together and caring for one another. It's the story of great fraternity. People from near and far, humble shepherds and distinguished wise men, saw the signs and journeyed to the lowly stables in which he was born to share the good news, peace on earth and goodwill to all. So against the backdrop of our own personal struggles and worries about paying our mortgage, our personal safety with the high level of violence in our society, the stress brought on by traffic and indiscipline on our roads, or the threat of disease and illness, let us take some time this season to reflect on the hope that Jesus' birth has given to the world. Let us start by renewing our personal faith in God and getting in touch with our spirituality. Indeed, this is the time that family members gather and rekindle the familial bonds. Let us express our faith and love through our family. That no matter the circumstances, wealth or poverty, sickness or health, we are going to stick together and care for each other. And as we rekindle these bonds in our families, let the light of hope, faith, and love emanate from our home to everyone in our community, rich or poor, young or old, able or disabled. As we celebrate the season, Let us take the time to acknowledge and thank those who stand guard to keep us safe. Our essential services, air traffic controllers, doctors and nurses. I wish to specifically acknowledge and thank the men and women of the JCF and the JDF, who are even now deployed to keep the peace in various communities across Jamaica. It is a difficult task. However, we cannot give up. You are the last line of defense against those bent on destroying the peace. We can only observe the true meaning of the season in peace. We can only celebrate and be festive in peace. As we celebrate, some in churches and some at parties, remember to love your neighbor. If your neighbor is without, share. If your neighbor is alone and down, bring them cheer. And if your music is too loud, turn it down. This Christmas, I pray that you will find peace, that you will be surrounded by the love of family and the goodwill of community. Merry Christmas, Jamaica.
St. Andrew graphic artist charged of a fatal shooting. Investigators assigned to the Unspay Criminal Investigation Branch have charged 42-year-old Robert Drummond, otherwise called Papa, a graphic artist of Barnes Avenue, Rosetown, Kingston 13, in relation to the shooting death of 20-year-old Tevin Lewis, a carpenter of Whitfield Avenue in Kingston 13. Drummond was charged with murder, shooting with intent, illegal possession of a gun, and illegal possession of ammunition. It is reported that about 2:05 p.m. on Monday, March 18, Lewis was walking along Swethenham Road in Kingston 13 when a motor car with 4 men aboard drove up. The men then exited the vehicle and opened gunfire, hitting him several times. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Following investigations, Drummond was arrested and later charged following a question and answer session. His court date is being finalized. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.